Watching Rock and Roll Rugby, and you're back in my little studio, my World Cup studio. And in today's one, we're actually going to be discussing the game on Sunday, 10 September, between England and Argentina. Now, I think this is going to be one of those kind of tough games where you'd expect Argentina to win based on England's poor performances in their last few games. But you know you're going to be dealing with a different England team. It's a big rugby nation, man, and they've got so much now, all the pressure building up. And yes, you could say, yeah, but that's just going to be worse for them. But at the same time, you have to say, somewhere now they're going to really want to come out firing and really play well. But on the other side, we've got our Argentinian team that's just done amazing things, you know. They've been so good at the Rugby Championship lately that, you know, you got to say that this team is no longer a second-tier team, I think, really. You know, we know England's fallen like 6 places in the world rankings lately. They're 8th in the world, and it's not been going very well for them. On the other side, Argentina has been going up. Argentina is currently 6th in the world, kind of where England was. So we got to take these guys seriously in this World Cup. You know, from an England point of view, they still have some players missing, like Farrell, which they are very dependent on as a player. And he's not there. He's kind of been the playmaker in many ways, and you can see his absence has been felt. On the other side, you've got a Marcus Smith, who's more of a front foot type fly-off who wants to run the ball. But you almost feel that you need a kicker in that team that can, you know, get those cross kicks in, kind of put England on the front foot, not just up and unders, pointless up and unders and kick the ball away, but someone that can you know, do a Dan Bigger, a Russell type role, even a Mani Libok role, Muhanga role, where, you know, if they space out wide, can get those kicks out. They kind of lacking that. I don't think Marcus Smith is not good for this England team. I think he's very important. They kind of see him as an impact player, but I think they're kind of wasting him. He should maybe be playing, I don't know where, maybe fullback or something, some spark in that back line. They need more, I think, direction in the back line. From a forwards perspective, they hot, cold, but they can be really good on the day within the forward pack. It's more for me the back line that's very unstructured. Their defense in their back line is extremely poor. They're missing a lot of tackles, and that's where they're struggling. On the other hand, you've got Argentina that's got, you know, Crevi there. He's heavily experienced. Montera, you know, you name them. You Carreras, Buffelli. All these guys are playing extremely good rugby, and they've become really world-class rugby players. So, man, I think England's up for it in this game. But let's look at some highlights and see what we can take out of it. Guys, just here you can see the defense from Argentina. So we're just looking a little bit at Argentina's rolling maul defense. Yes, they didn't get that one go their way, but I mean, it's pretty decent defense. Generally, if you look at Argentina's defense, they definitely have the ability to defend rolling mauls pretty well. So forward type rugby is what they do, you know. And if you watch there, they're already on this game phase 8, and this is what I just think Argentina do well. They don't easily get through always, but they are one patient team. They'll play 9, 10, 11, 12 phases and bash their way up until they get the opportunity. Play forward type rugby, very much like Springbok type DNA type rugby. Maybe just a bit more conservative from the forward pack than what the Springboks are currently, but very much similar in just playing through the phases. Bash it up until they get to that point where they get the opportunity and it opens up. It's just great, patient, forward pack type rugby, which with Michael Checker now, you know, coaching this team, I think he's improving their backline type game as well. We're just watching this now. How many phases have these guys played before they score a try? And they're definitely going to do that against England. And I don't think England's defense is close to as good as Australia's even now. You can really say year on year it's just improved and improved. It's not like their game has slowed down. It's just every year it feels like it's going a step up and a step up and a step up. Then looking at their scrums, I mean, you can also look at their scrums and you can see that they're a team that's just so solid on their scrums. You know, against all the big teams in the world, they can hold them in the scrums. They've got a very solid scrum. They don't often collapse the scrum, and they stand their ground, you know. Just lose ball, getting over rucks, getting jackling and getting over the ball. That's something they're really good at. They've obviously learned from the best, you know, being the All Black Springboks, Australia, when it comes to those kind of things, like getting over loose balls, jackling. They've become really good at that, and that's something that they really lacked when they started playing. They have their moments, man. Sometimes they make some silly mistakes, and other times they just manage to run good lines, like you can see there on the screen. A really, really beautiful line that he's coming in at the angle, and man, the little inside out, and boom, try time for them. And generally, this team is always fired up. They're not the type of team that come out and ever seem lukewarm to me, like, oh, it doesn't seem like they want to play today. But they do have moments of weakness like that, where, you know, a silly pass or something, and then they concede some point. So they're not always, they're much more consistent than they ever were before, but still not perfect. Then looking at their rolling mauls, I mean, again, it's a patient team. So what they'll do is they'll do something similar to what the Springboks does, where they'll, you know, kind of wait for those rolling mauls to start getting momentum. They don't always get momentum straight away, but a very, very patient team to me in general. They've got this ability to peel away also from the rolling mauls, which is all new things that they've added to their game. You know, they've speed up the game a bit around the forward pack, and don't just wait for something to happen. They create opportunities with these forwards as they start bashing away at England and sucking in those defenders. And as soon as they've got all those defenders sucked in, that's when you can start looking at running a backline with more than enough pace and abilities to score beautiful tries. So now when we look at England, you know, we can't say they're too bad. When we look at England, we have to say that, you know, they've got also a decent maul defense, but I don't know how to gauge it at this point, because it was against the Welsh, and eventually you could see them crumbling in their maul defenses quite often against Wales, and Wales eventually finding momentum. And if they are allowing, you know, a team like Wales to get such momentum, I do feel Argentina has got even a stronger rolling maul than what Wales have got at the moment. So they probably going to even struggle in the scrums, thinking about it again, because, you know, generally England's in a bad space, man. England's really not in a good place at the moment. And if you look at their general game and you go by anything in the last few games, you have to say that they just not looking up to it. Now, another thing with the English is just their defense and their back line. I don't know about Ollie Lawrence. He just seems too slow for me, like at number 12. He's definitely got a lack of pace, and then, you know, when there's any line breaks, it seems like he can't catch up with the guys, and then generally just missed tackles, the way they kind of position themselves for tackling, and not kind of going up together within a structured line. It's almost like they shoot up very quickly on their defense and then suddenly slow down just before they have to tackle, where very similar, the Springboks will also come up quickly. I'm using the Springboks here because I'm just thinking of the Springboks. They will also come up quickly, you know, pretty quickly on their defense, but then they'll suffocate the ball. Where the English don't do that. They still give the players space, and then they're totally out of position. Now, the English did get some stuff right against the Wales, you know. Their rolling maul, they could get going once or twice. But again, man, we're dealing with a different animal here when we're dealing with Argentina. And I just feel Argentina is not going to make it that easy for England. England, even if you look here, really struggled to eventually get that rolling maul going. I see Argentina currently almost on a different level. I don't know why, but I feel they're a little bit higher than Wales and England, and I think the world rankings probably tell you that. You know, if you look where Wales and England are in the world, and you look where Argentina is, I mean, yeah, you can see again, England's got a decent scrum, they can hold their own. So I think from a scrummaging point of view, they'll be pretty decent. But they're definitely not going to scrum Argentina backwards, in my opinion. I don't see them doing that much. As soon as Argentina works through those phases and they suck in the defenders, that's where they're going to have a problem, when they start running the backs and England don't have enough, guys in the back line. And if you see Argentina's defense, generally, I mean, they were playing the Springboks. Look how structured they are. They're literally in a solid line. They don't run out of the line. They kind of keep their form. And they do really, really well. If you think of the onslaughts that they had with the Springboks and how structured they are, how they cover their men, you see how they speak to each other and how they cover each inside player, and how they also do the cross defense. I mean, they're pretty good at their defense in general. And, the way that England's kind of seemed recently like they totally lost when it comes to their attack. Then from a rolling maul defense perspective, we can probably say that the Springboks is one of the best rolling maul teams in the world. So, and you see how they're able to keep the Springboks there. It's not like they hold the Springboks in the rolling mauls. Their D defense, their rolling maul D defense is really, really good. You can see again. I mean, they're scrumming pretty much against the best in the world at scrummaging at the moment, I have to say. And you can see how strong they are to hold the Springboks, eventually crumbling in. But for the most part, they're really, really strong in their scrums. They don't move backwards. They're not being out-scrummed, that's for sure. Now, if you watch the Springboks here, they're coming with an onslaught. And the little inside passes, you think they're going to break the line. But you almost find that the Argentinians sit back and they read the game very, very well at the moment. It's like they've got a very good sense of their defense and how they need to structure their lines. And I think it's just going to be really hard for England to break that. It's not going to be easy, because England really, with their back line, currently their defense is in shambles. And I cannot see them change this around in one game. We can see here against Fiji, they won some scrums, but what do you read out of that? Fijians are not really known for their scrums. But then again, also, if you look at how poor their defense are in general, I mean, yes, the Fijians are big guys, but I don't know, man. It looks a little bit too easy, generally, from England. It really does look like the Fijians are giants against them here, but it's because they're allowing the Fijians so much to run in that game. Generally, I don't think line-out time they'll have that much of an issue. They're pretty good at their line-outs. I think they'll do decent in their line-outs. Their rolling mauls should be okay. I don't think that they're too bad at their rolling mauls. Their rolling maul defense, that might be a big issue for them against Argentina. Scrum should be pretty even. And then, of course, the problem is, when Argentina holds onto the ball long enough and play through enough phases, the backline defense is very poor. I mean, if you look at this, Rudrada is seeing the space out wide. And this is the thing with England. They all go up and they leave all the space, and the wingers have got to try and cover all the space. And if you find a team like Argentina, they're going to expose that. They've got really good wingers. They've got a good sense of getting the ball out wide. Carreras will see this, and he'll probably get the kicks through more than the passes. For the Fijians, they like holding the ball in the hand. They get close to the players, but then they stay in a line, but they don't go in for the tackles, which means they're all out of position if someone gives a kick through. So, I mean, there was no one around that ruck. It was just too easy. I mean, you got to get punished against Argentina like this. You just got to know you're going to get punished. So, guys, what am I saying? Well, I guess you can gather through my reactions. I think it's going to be a long night for England. Now, if you're an England supporter, there is the one thing you always have to remember. We can go by what we see in the highlights. We can go by all those kind of things. But we know teams like the Springboks, the All Blacks, even Australia, that I know of late, have been able to have really, really poor games. And you'd think, oh, this is trouble, these guys are on bad form. And then turn it around totally in the next game. Now, England's due for a turnaround because it's been game after game after game that they've not been playing very well. I don't know if the World Cup is it, but maybe if there's enough emotion, enough pride, and the occasion, gets those players hyped and passionate enough, you could see something different. Because it's not like the players don't have the talent. It's that the players are not playing cohesion. They're not defending in cohesion and not finding each other. And there's a lack of passion because of all the losing so often. So maybe they might just want it more than Argentina in this game. But we know the Argentines don't ever come out not being passionate. But if England on the day is going to be, really on good nick and playing really, really well, it's not to say they're going to run away with it. That just means then we're going to have a really competitive game between them and Argentina. If they play anything like they've been playing in the last few games, Argentina is going to have a pretty decent win here in my opinion. But you can tell me what you think. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed my reaction to this video. And guys, I thank you guys all for still watching my stuff and just supporting me. And if you're watching and you're not subscribed, man, every subscriber really helps. So just ask you to please subscribe if you can. Anyway, see you in the next one. Thanks, bye.